This video is part of the Ultimate Swagger Tools course. Check the link in the description to learn more. In step 1, we'll go on and create a new Swagger account at their website. Note that Swagger account and SwaggerHub account are one and the same. It is the account that you create at the Swagger website in order to access various tools that is provided by them. To access it, you first go to the website swagger.io. Once you load the website, you can see the tools option and then we see all the tools that is provided by SwaggerHub. Among the SwaggerHub, we have two plans. The first is the free plan and second is the enterprise version. The main difference between the free and the enterprise is that the free plan comes with a limited dataset. The set of features supported in the free plan is a lot less compared to the enterprise version. However, for the current demo, the free plan is more than sufficient. Hence, we go on and create a free account at SwaggerHub. To create a new account, you go and click on the sign in button. This is going to create a new account at SwaggerHub. There are multiple ways to create an account at SwaggerHub. The first is a social account, namely with login with GitHub. It's going to use the credentials of GitHub in order to create an account at Swagger. The second is logging with SSO, which means that if it's an enterprise account or you have a company account, then you can use your company email in order to create an account. The last option is a standard login, where just like any other website, you create a new account by providing your own username and password. Among these three options, I generally go ahead with social accounts because it is easier to create the account and login. Let me go on and click login with GitHub account. Since I have already logged into GitHub, it's going to use the information that is used to sign up at GitHub and then create an account at SwaggerHub. Here, the new account at Swagger has been created and I have logged in. At the top right, you can see your account information. My account name is CodeWithPraveen. At the middle, we can see the My Hub. This is the home page of SwaggerHub after you log in. From here, you can go and create all other APIs, document APIs, share and collaboration, and other options. Before we look into creating a new API or importing an existing API, you need to understand about the hierarchy structure that is followed in SwaggerHub. Basically, they refer to how organizations, teams, projects, and APIs are handled within SwaggerHub. Let's look at that next. In step 2, let us go ahead and try to understand the hierarchy structure that is maintained within SwaggerHub. Within SwaggerHub, you can create multiple entities such as APIs, domains, organizations, apart from projects and teams. In order to explain all these different entities, I have created a simple representation. This image shows the hierarchy structure of the SwaggerHub. Suppose you have created an individual account at SwaggerHub, then it's okay. You can go on and use this individual account in order to manage all the APIs. You have another choice when you are working with an organization level. You can go ahead and create one organization or multiple organizations, which means that as a single person, you have a choice of working with multiple organizations. One organization refers to a group of users working together on API definitions, which means that that organization is going to have multiple projects and teams. It can have multiple projects within the organization. The project refers to individual projects that is being maintained within the organization. They may or may not be related to each other. Similarly, an organization can have multiple teams. Each team will be working on one or more of these projects. Once we have these different entities such as projects, teams, and organization, we can finally go and create the APIs. Once we have the APIs, we can create multiple APIs and assign them to different teams as well as different projects. It is the presence of these projects, teams, and organization we are able to do the collaboration within SwaggerHub. To summarize, as an individual, you can go ahead and create the APIs on yourself. You no need to worry about organization at all at the initial stage. All the APIs will be maintained by your individual account. If you want to work with organization or you want to do collaboration, then you need to create organizations. Each organization refers to one individual company or an organization. Within organization, you can create multiple projects. Each project refers to an individual project which is under development at an organization level. And then we have the multiple teams. One or more teams can work with the different projects. Finally, we have the APIs. We can create multiple APIs within the same organization. We can group it under the respective projects. These projects will then be carried over by these different teams. As you can see here, the SwaggerHub provides extensive categorization and structure of these different entities within an organization. We will be covering about how to create organization, how to create a new project, new teams and so on in a later part of this course. For now, let's go on and concentrate on the individual account so that we concentrate on creating the API in the initial stage. As a next step, we'll go ahead and import an existing open API so that we can see how the SwaggerHub represents this in its UI. As a next step, we'll go ahead and import an existing API and see how it looks like within the MyHub interface. In order to import an API, you go to the Create New menu, click on it, and then select the option Import and Document API. Once you select this option, it is going to show a dialog where we can browse for the file and set various options for importing an API. Let me go ahead and click on the Browse button and then select the file which I want to import. Note that when we want to import an API, it can be in the YAML or JSON format. For now, I have imported an API that has been written in the YAML format. As a next step, we have to choose the owner. Since we have created a new account, it just has a single entry, that is my current account. If you had created multiple accounts such as the enterprise, then it is going to show you multiple organizations over here. Next, you can go and select the visibility. We have two choices here, public or private. The main difference between these two is that if you select the option as public, then the imported API will be available for public use or public usage by others. It will be visible among the global Swagger search. Whereas if you set it as private, then this API will be only visible to yourself. This is the ideal case when you develop this for the organizations, because the organization has to value the privacy and it cannot expose its details to the outside world. But for the demo and for your personal projects, public should be good enough. Once you select all these options, you can click on the option Upload File. Then it's going to upload the file from your local disk and then upload to SwaggerHub. It will validate the YAML or the JSON file that you have imported and show any errors if it presents. Otherwise, it's going to show a message success. Notice that you can select the new name and the version in this step. If you prefer, you can go ahead and change the name and the version at this junction. Next, you go ahead and click on Import Open API. This is going to import the file and then load it the API in the SwaggerHub. Once it loads, you can see the Open API being opened in the Swagger editor of this window. Here is the home page of any new API that has been created in SwaggerHub. As a next step, we'll see how to navigate the SwaggerHub using the various windows which is present here. We have one module over here, the second and the third and so on. Let's see deeper in the next video. As a next step, we'll go on and create a new API from the scratch. This shows the API that we had imported before. So let me go on and delete this API so that we can create the same API from the scratch. Once we delete this API, then MyHub is going to be blank. In order to create a new API, you select the option Create New followed by Create New API. This is going to show you a dialog where you can key in the key details for creating a new API. At the top, we have the option to select the Open API version. Currently, it shows 2.0 and 3.0.0. Currently, 3.0.0 is the latest version, hence this is the default value. Next, we have the option to select the template. When you create a new API, you got two choices. Either you can completely scratch from the blank slate where the initial document is blank. The second is to use one of the existing template. The main difference is once you select a template, then it's going to show the API with the basic template details. It will have the basic informations, sample operations, sample paths, response and so on. So it's going to give you a good head start while creating a new API. For this demo, I'm going to go ahead and select the option None. Once we come over here, we need to key in all the details manually. The name, I'm going to enter it as OpenAPI for CMS. Notice that the name doesn't allow the spaces. Next, the version. This version refers to the version of the OpenAPI document. Note that it is not referring to the version of the OpenAPI itself. It is a version of your own document that you are going to create. I can go ahead and select 1.0. Next, we can create a title for the documentation. I'm going to enter it as OpenAPI spec for CMS. Next, we have a description, the API specification for the CMS system. Next, we can go and select the owner for the specific API. Since currently we have single owner, we can just go with the default option. Next, we have the visibility. Among the public and private, I can choose the public. Notice that the free option allows only 3 APIs to be created. Also, the public is going to have a public visibility. Once I select public, the next option which you need to select is whether you need auto mock API or not. This basically refers whether you need to mock the API that you have created. Mock refers to creating a dummy server so that you can try to validate the API that you have written. For now, we can disable it. Once all these details are entered, if you require, you can cross-verify them once, and if all the details are correct, then you can go ahead and create API using this button. The new API has been created and it loads the API page in the SwaggerHub. Notice that it has the same windows that we have explained before. The left hand side, we have choices for code editor and visual editor. We have the basic sections of the API. We have the code editor window in the middle. On the right hand side, we have the UI documentation. In step 4, you will learn how to navigate in MyHub. MyHub is a central place in SwaggerHub. Once you log in, it is going to show you this interface after the successful login. MyHub is going to show you all the APIs that you have written using this specific tool. It has got various options in the left hand side and various column options in the top. In the left, we have options to create a new, where we has option to add new APIs, import, domain and organization. Next, we have the option search, where it's going to show you all the APIs that is available in the public domain. You can search for anything using any specific keyword and it's going to filter it. Finally, we have the tab for organizations, where it's going to show you all the organization information that is you have created under your account. Since we have not created any organizations, it is blank. If we go back to the MyHub interface, since we have created a single API, basically since we have imported in the previous step, it's showing that single API here. At the top toolbar, we have these options where you can use to filter the APIs that is being shown below. Here we have the choices to sort. We have various conditions such as newest, oldest, alphabetical, title and so on. Next, we have the filter for selecting the specification. We have Swagger 2.0 and OpenAPI 3.0. Next, we have the type, where we can filter by API or domain. We will be covering the domain in the later section. We also have options to choose the visibility, whether to select public or private. Finally, we have choices to select the state and the owner. Since we are having only one API at this point, it doesn't matter which option you choose. It's going to filter and show us this single API. Next, we go on and click on this API and see the various windows and modules available within the single API. Once we select the API, it's going to show the home page of that particular API specification. Here we have various windows. Let's go and check one after the other. At the left hand side, we have got two main options. The first is the code editor and second is the visual editor. These are the different ways of writing an API using the SwaggerHub. Notice that this specific UI is basically a Swagger editor. Only the UI representation is different. You can go ahead and toggle these settings in order to show or hide both of these editors. This represents the visual and this icon represents the code editor. Once you click on this, then it's going to show the editor. The main usage of code editor is used to write the API specification using YAML syntax. As you can see here, since we have imported an existing API, it shows the API specification written using YAML language. Using this code editor, you can directly go and write the API specification. The code editor supports validating the input that you have entered. For instance, if you enter any mistakes, then the code editor is going to show you the warning and it will show the validation error at the bottom. This is one of the main advantages of using the code editor. Second, we can use this code editor in order to define various operations as well as the schemas. If you go to the bottom of this document, we will be having the component sections where you can go and define various types such as a course, students, and so on. On the other hand, you can also use the visual editor in order to create the API. Notice that when you use the visual editor, you are going to edit all the informations in the UI format. Here we have various sections of the OpenAPI such as info, tags, servers, the list of operations, schemas on the left hand side. Once you click on each individual sections, then you can see the final details in the right hand side. You can go ahead and directly enter the information in this UI representation. This is a real benefit of the visual editor compared to the code editor. However, one of the main limitations with this visual editor is that as of now, the SwaggerHub does not support defining operations and models using the visual editor. This means that we cannot simply come to the UI and then create the operations and then add multiple operation details of that, which is not possible as of now. It is a bit surprising that SwaggerHub doesn't provide this option as of now because there are many other third-party tools that already provides these various options. Most likely the SwaggerHub development team should be working on this feature in the background and it should be available in the near future. Similarly, for the operations, the schemas also cannot be created using the visual editor. In both these cases, you need to go to the code editor and create the respective schemas and the operations. In general, what I do is I first go to the visual editor and then create the basic information such as infos, tags, servers, and so on. Once this is done, I can go ahead to the code editor and then fine tune and enter the operations and schemas. This is the approach I follow until SwaggerHub provides a visual option in order to enter and tweak the operations and schemas. Finally, in the right hand side, we have the Swagger UI documentation. This is basically the UI representation of the API that has been written using code editor or visual editor. One key point to note is that this UI representation is dynamic, which means that whenever you go and change any of the parameters within this specification, it's going to reflect in the UI immediately. You can also click on this icon in the top which shows as view documentation in order to load this UI representation as a separate tab. In this way, you can see the UI representation of the entire OpenAPI specification in a nice and neat format. We have the title, we have the descriptions, servers, the different operations defined, and finally the schemas. One of the key features of the interactive documentation is that the Swagger UI provides one of the key features known as try it out. You can use this option in order to try the operation that has been written using this interactive documentation. When you click on this, then if you get a new option called execute. Once you click on this, then it's going to execute this operation against the server that has been defined at the top. We will cover this extensively in the forthcoming sections. So far, we have seen how to import an existing API and seen the various windows available within the specification. As a next step, we go on and create a new API from the scratch. We will see how we can create the same specification that we have imported here from the scratch.